Hello, my friends. I'm Tom. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about a very useful book called Think Fast, Talk Smarter. The author is Matt Abrahams. As always, I will speak slowly and I will use easy words and grammar so you can understand everything. This book is about speaking, but it is not only about giving a big speech on a stage. It is not only about speaking in front of hundreds of people. It is about the small speaking moments in everyday life. It is about the moments when someone asks you a question and suddenly you need to answer. It is about the moments when you are in a meeting, in a class, in an interview, at work, or with friends, and you need to speak without much time to prepare. Maybe your teacher asks you a question. Maybe your manager says, "What do you think?" Maybe a friend asks, "Can you explain that?" Maybe someone in an interview says, "Tell me about yourself." Maybe someone asks for your opinion and your mind suddenly feels empty. You want to speak. You know you have ideas, but in that moment, your brain freezes. You feel nervous. Your heart beats fast. Your mouth feels dry. You think, "Oh no, what should I say?" You may say too much. You may say too little. You may repeat yourself. You may use unclear words. Or you may say nothing at all. This book teaches us that this problem is normal. Many people feel nervous when they need to speak suddenly. Even smart people, even educated people, even people who know the answer. The problem is not always knowledge. Sometimes the problem is pressure. You know something, but pressure makes it hard to find the words. This is very important for English learners too. Many English learners say, "I can understand English, but I cannot speak quickly." Or they say, "I know the words, but when someone talks to me, I forget everything." This, my friend, is common. Your English may be inside your mind, but when you feel stress, it becomes harder to use. So, the goal here is not to become perfect. The goal is to become calmer. The goal is to learn simple ways to organize your thoughts. The goal is to give your brain a small path to follow. When your brain has a path, speaking becomes easier. Think about walking in a dark room. If there is no light, you may feel lost. But if there is a small light, you can move. Speaking is similar. When you are nervous, your mind feels dark. A simple structure is like a small light. It helps you move from one idea to the next. The author, Matt Abrahams, teaches that spontaneous speaking means speaking without much preparation. Well, that's a big word, spontaneous. What does that mean? Spontaneous means it happens in the moment. You do not have 1 hour to write a perfect answer. You need to speak now. But this does not mean your answer has to be messy. You can learn to speak clearly even when you have little time. So, the first lesson is this. Speaking well is a skill. It is not only a talent. Some people seem naturally good at speaking. They answer questions quickly. They sound calm. They know how to explain ideas. But this does not mean they were born that way. Speaking can be practiced. Clear answers can be practiced. Calm communication can be practiced. This is good news. If speaking is a skill, you can improve it. If answering questions is a skill, you can train it. If staying calm is a skill, you can practice it little by little. For English learners, this is extremely powerful. You do not need to wait until your English is perfect. You can learn simple speaking tools now. You can learn how to start an answer. You can learn how to give examples. You can learn how to pause. You can learn how to buy time politely. You can learn how to finish your answer clearly. For example, when someone asks you a question, you do not always need to answer immediately. You can say, "That's a good question." You can say, "Let me think for a second." You can say, "I'd say there are two main reasons." These small phrases give your brain time. They also make you sound calm and natural. Speaking faster does not mean speaking without thinking. Talking smarter does not mean using difficult words. It means speaking with more control. It means choosing simple words. It means making your message easy to follow. Many people think good speakers use long sentences and advanced vocabulary. But often, the best speakers are clear. They use short sentences. They give examples. They repeat the main idea. They help the listener understand. So, in this episode, we will learn how to speak when we are not ready. We will learn how to manage nervousness. We will learn how to listen before answering. We will learn how to use simple structures. We will learn how to answer questions clearly with simple words. And we will learn how to practice speaking every day. Remember this: you need a clear answer. You do not need to sound like a famous speaker. You need to sound calm, honest, and understandable. And that is the heart of this book. Speaking well in the moment is not magic. It is a skill. And like every skill, you can build it step by step. Okay. Before we talk about words, we need to talk about the body. This is one of the most important ideas in speaking. When you feel nervous, the problem is not only in your mind, it is also in your body. Maybe your heart beats fast. Maybe your hands feel cold. Maybe your face becomes hot. Maybe your breathing becomes short. Maybe your shoulders become tight. Maybe your voice becomes shaky. This happens because your body thinks there is danger. Yes, danger. But usually, speaking is not real danger. A question in a meeting is not a tiger. A presentation is not a wild animal. An interview is not a physical attack. But the body may react like there is danger. It says, "Be careful, something important is happening." This feeling is uncomfortable, yeah. but it is also normal. It does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are bad at speaking. It means your body is preparing you. Your body is giving you energy. The problem is that sometimes we do not know how to use that energy. So the first step is not to fight the feeling. If you say, I must not be nervous, you may become even more nervous. If you say, why am I nervous? I hate this feeling. The feeling may become even bigger. A better way is to notice it and rename it. Instead of saying, I'm scared, you can say, my body is giving me energy. Instead of saying, I'm going to fail, you can say, well, I'm getting ready to speak. This small change can help. The feeling in the body may be similar, but the meaning changes. Think about excitement and fear. They can feel close in the body. In both feelings, your heart may beat fast, your energy may go up, your breathing may change. If you call the feeling fear, you may close down. If you call it energy, you may open up. For English learners, this matters a lot. When you speak English, you may feel nervous because you are using another language. You may worry about mistakes. You may worry about pronunciation. You may worry that people will judge you. These worries can make your body tense. And when the body is tense, speaking becomes harder. So before you speak, breathe. Not in a dramatic way. Just take one slow breath. Feel your feet. Relax your shoulders. Open your mouth gently. Give yourself 1 second. A pause is not a failure. A pause can be powerful. Many learners think they must answer quickly. They think silence is bad. But a short pause can make you sound thoughtful. A short pause can help you choose better words. You can also use simple phrases to create a pause. For example, you can say, "That's an interesting question. Let me think about it." I would say, these phrases are useful because they give you time. They also show the listener that you are thinking. You do not need to panic. You do not need to rush. You can take a small moment and then answer. Another useful idea is to focus on the listener, not on yourself. When we are nervous, we often think too much about ourselves. We think, how do I look? Do I sound stupid? Is my grammar wrong? Do they like me? This makes anxiety bigger. But communication is not only about you, it is about the listener. So ask yourself, what does this person need from me? Maybe they need a simple answer. Maybe they need one example. Maybe they need your honest opinion. Maybe they need a short explanation. When you focus on helping the listener, you often feel calmer. This is a beautiful idea. Speaking is not a performance. Speaking is service. You are helping someone understand something. You are sharing an idea. You are building connection. For example, if someone asks, "Why do you want this job?" you do not need to think, "I must sound perfect." Instead, think, "I need to help them understand my motivation." Then you can answer simply, I want this job because I enjoy working with people and I think my experience fits this role. Simple, clear, honest. If someone asks, "What did you think of the meeting?" you do not need to give a long answer. You can say, "I think it was useful. The main point for me was that we need clearer communication." Again, simple and clear. So the author teaches us that anxiety becomes smaller when we prepare our body and our mind. We cannot remove all nervousness, and maybe we do not need to. A little nervousness can give energy, but we can learn to manage it. One way to manage nervousness is to prepare for common situations. You cannot prepare every question in life, but you can prepare useful patterns. For example, you can practice answering questions like, "What do you think? Can you explain that? Why is this important? What is the main problem? What should we do next?" You can practice these questions in English. You can answer them using simple structures. The more you practice, the more familiar they feel. Your brain knows them, and when something is familiar, it feels less scary. So, another way is to practice out loud. Many people think silently. They prepare answers in their head. But speaking is physical. Your mouth needs practice. Your voice needs practice. Your breathing needs practice. So say your answers aloud. Even if you are alone, speak. Practice in front of a mirror. Record your voice. Listen again. Try again. Do not wait for perfect confidence. Confidence often comes after action, not before action. You speak a little, then you become a little more confident. Then you speak again, then confidence grows. So the message here is simple. Calm the body and the voice becomes calmer. Breathe, pause, relax your shoulders, focus on helping the listener, use simple phrases to give yourself time. You may still feel nervous. That is okay. You can be nervous and still speak clearly. Okay. Many people think good speaking begins with talking. But often, good speaking begins with listening. This is a very important idea. Before you answer, you need to understand the question. Before you give advice, you need to understand the problem. Before you explain your idea, you need to know what the listener needs. Sometimes, people answer too quickly. They hear the first few words of a question, and they start preparing their answer immediately. But they do not listen to the full question. Then their answer may be unclear, or they answer the wrong question, or they speak too much because they're not sure what the person really asked. Good speakers listen first. Listening gives you information. It tells you what the person wants. Do they want a short answer or a detailed answer? Do they want facts or feelings? Do they want your opinion or your experience? Do they need help, support, or a decision? In English, listening carefully also helps you choose the right language. For example, if someone says, "Could you briefly explain the problem?" The word briefly is important here. It means they want a short answer. If you speak for 5 minutes, you may not answer well. A good answer may be only 2 or 3 sentences. But if someone asks, "Can you walk me through the process?" This means they want more detail. They want steps. They want a clear explanation from beginning to end. So listen to the question. Listen to the key words. Listen to the tone. Listen to what the person really wants. Sometimes, if you're not sure, you can ask a clarifying question. Clarifying means making something clearer. For example, you can say, "Do you mean the first part or the second part? Are you asking about the problem or the solution? Would you like a short answer or more detail? Can I check what you mean?" These phrases are very useful. They show that you are listening. They also give you time to think. And they help you answer the right question. For English learners, this is especially important. Sometimes you may not understand the whole question. That is okay. You can ask for help. You can say, "Sorry, could you repeat that? Could you say that more slowly? Do you mean, can you give me an example?" These are not weak phrases. They are smart phrases. They help communication continue. Native speakers ask clarifying questions too. Good communication is not pretending to understand everything. Good communication is making sure both people understand each other. Another important idea is to listen with your whole attention. When someone speaks, do not only wait for your turn. Try to understand, look at them, notice their main point, notice their emotion. Are they worried? Are they excited? Are they confused? Are they angry or curious? Your answer should fit the person, not only the words. It has to be suitable for the person. For example, if someone says, "I don't understand this report," they may need an explanation. But they may also feel embarrassed. If you answer in a cold way, they may feel worse. A better answer is a warm and clear answer, such as, "No problem. Let's look at it together." The main idea is actually simple, something like that. So the words matter, but the feeling also matters. Good speaking is not only sending information, it is creating connection. Listening helps connection. When people feel heard, they trust you more. When people trust you, your words become stronger. Matt Abraham's book reminds us that spontaneous speaking is not only about quick answers, it is about useful answers. A quick answer that misses the point is not useful. A slower answer that really helps is much better. So do not rush. Listen first. There is a simple method you can use. When someone asks you a question, pause for a second and ask yourself 3 things. First, what is the real question? Second, what does this person need? Third, what is my main answer? You can do this quickly. You do not need 1 minute. Just one small pause can help. Let's take an example. Someone asks, "Why do you think this project is not working?" If you answer too fast, you may start talking about many problems. But if you pause, you may realize the real question is, what is the main reason? So you can answer clearly. I think the main issue is communication. People are working hard, but they are not sharing updates clearly. That is a strong answer. It has one main idea. It is easy to understand. Now, imagine someone asks, how can I improve my English speaking? You could say many things: grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, listening, practice, confidence. But a clear answer starts with the listener's need. Maybe they want one useful step. So you can say, start with short, daily speaking practice. Choose one simple question every day and answer it out loud for 1 minute. Simple, practical, helpful. Listening also stops you from speaking too much. Many nervous speakers speak more than necessary. They think, if I talk more, maybe I will sound smarter. But often, the opposite happens. Too many words can confuse the listener. A clear, short answer often sounds more confident. In English, this is very important. You do not need to fill every space. You do not need to explain everything. Say your main point, add one reason or example, then stop. If the person wants more, they will ask. A simple structure is answer, explain, example. First, answer the question. Second, explain your reason. Third, give one example. For example, I think daily listening is important. It helps your ears get used to English. For example, listening to a short podcast every morning can slowly improve your understanding. This structure is simple. It is easy to follow. It works in many situations. So remember, listen first, then speak. Do not chase the answer too quickly. Understand the question, notice the listener, ask for clarification when you need it, give one clear main idea. Good speaking starts before your first word. It starts with listening. Now, when people feel nervous, their thoughts can become messy. Many ideas come at the same time. You may think of one point, then another point, then a story, then a detail, then a worry. So your mind jumps everywhere. And when your mind is messy, your speech may become messy too. This is why structure is so important. A structure is a simple shape for your answer. It tells you where to begin, where to go next, and where to finish. Structure helps you speak when you do not have much time. Structure helps the listener follow your idea. Structure also helps your brain stay calm. Think of structure like a road. Without a road, you may walk in many directions. With a road, you know where to go. You may still speak naturally, but you have a path. You do not need complicated structures. Simple structures are better, especially for learners. Beginner-level learners can use simple structures to sound clear and confident. One useful structure is point, reason, example. First, give your point. Then, give one reason. And then, give an example. Let's try it. The question is, why is listening important for English learners? Think about it for a few seconds. I will give you time. Now, one answer is listening is important because it helps you understand natural English. When you listen often, your ears get used to common words and phrases. For example, if you listen to a short podcast every day, you will slowly understand more. This answer is not difficult, but it is clear. The listener knows your point. The listener hears your reason, and the listener gets an example. Another useful structure is past, present, future. This structure is good when you talk about change, progress, or plans. For example, in the past, I was afraid to speak English. Now, I practice a little every day. In the future, I want to speak more confidently with fluent speakers. This is simple and natural. You can use it in interviews, conversations, learning stories, and personal introductions. Another useful structure is problem, solution, benefit. This is good when you explain an idea or give advice. For example, the problem is that many learners study words alone. The solution is to learn words in sentences. The benefit is that you remember the words better and use them more naturally. Again, simple and clear. Another useful structure is first, second, finally. This is very helpful when you have several points. You do not need advanced linking words. You can simply say, first, practice every day. Second, listen to natural English. Finally, use the phrases in your own sentences. These words guide the listener. They make your answer easy to follow. Now, many English learners try to use difficult linking words too early. They want to say furthermore, moreover, nevertheless, and consequently. These words can be useful, but they are not always necessary in everyday speaking. In natural English, simple words are often better. You can say first, also, but, so, for example, that's why. These simple words are powerful. They help you connect ideas without making your speech heavy. The author Matt Abraham's message is not use big words. His message is make speaking easier for your brain and for the listener. Structure does this. Structure makes your message easier. Let's practice with a common question. The question is, tell me about yourself. Many people hate this question because it feels too open. It is too general. They think, what should I say? My whole life? But with structure, it becomes easier. You can use present, past, future. I'm an English teacher and content creator. I have worked with learners for many years, and I enjoy making English easier to understand. Now I'm focusing on creating useful learning content online. And in the future, I want to help more learners improve their speaking and listening. This answer is clear. It does not include everything. It gives the listener a useful picture. Now, another question. What do you think about online learning. Use point, reason, example. You could say, I think online learning is very useful. That's your point. It gives people more flexibility, especially if they are busy. That's your reason. For example, a learner can listen to an English podcast while walking or traveling. And that is your example. Simple, clear, strong. Now, another question. I will give you time to answer this question yourself. How can someone become more confident in speaking English? You can use problem, solution, benefit. I will give you 20 seconds to think. One possible answer is this. The problem is that many learners wait until they feel ready. The solution is to practice speaking in small ways every day. The benefit is that confidence grows slowly through action. This is a good answer because it is easy to remember. Structure also helps you stop. This is important. Many people do not know how to finish their answer. They keep talking. They repeat the same idea. They add more details. They feel lost. But if you use a structure, you know when the answer is complete. For example, with point, reason, example, after the example, you know you can stop. You do not need to add 5 more examples. One good example is enough. You can also finish with a short final sentence, such as, so that's why I think listening is so important. Or, that's the main reason. Or, so for me, daily practice is the key. These final sentences help your answer feel complete. For English learners, this is extremely useful in speaking exams, interviews, meetings, and daily conversations. You do not need to speak perfectly. You need to speak in a way that people can follow. For example, here is a simple practice. Choose one question every day. Answer it using one structure. For example, what is one habit that helps you? Use point, reason, example. One possible answer could be something like this. One habit that helps me is planning my day. It helps me feel calm and focused. For example, when I write 3 important tasks in the morning, I know what to do first. Do this every day. One question, one structure, one clear answer. After a few weeks, your brain will start to use these patterns more naturally. This is how speaking improves, not through magic, not through pressure, through simple, repeated practice. So remember, structure is your friend. Structure is not boring. Structure gives freedom. It helps you speak clearly when your mind feels busy. When you do not know what to say, choose a structure. The structure will carry you. All right. One of the biggest mistakes in speaking is saying too much. This happens to many people. When we feel nervous, we often speak more. For example, many candidates in IELTS test speak more than necessary. We explain one idea, then explain it again, then add another detail, then go back to the first idea. We hope that more words will make us sound smarter, more proficient in English. But often, more words make the message less clear. Good speaking is not about saying everything. Good speaking is about saying the right thing clearly. This is a very important lesson from Think Fast, Talk Smarter. When you are put on the spot, you need to find your main message. What is the one thing you want the listener to remember? What is the heart of your answer? What is the main idea? If you know your main idea, your answer becomes stronger. If you do not know your main idea, your answer can become confusing. Let's imagine someone asks, what is the best way to improve English vocabulary? You could talk about many things: reading, listening, flashcards, notebooks, apps, repetition, context, speaking, writing. All of these can help. But if you say everything at once, the listener may feel lost. A clear answer would be something like this. The first way is to learn words in context. That means you learn words inside real sentences, not alone. This helps you remember them and use them naturally. This answer has one main idea. It is easy to understand and it is useful. You can also add one example. For example, do not only learn the word improve. Learn a sentence like, I want to improve my speaking. Now the listener understands. Clear speaking often uses simple words. This does not mean childish words. It means direct words. Words that people understand quickly. If you use difficult words when simple words are enough, you may create distance. If the listener needs too much energy to understand you, the communication becomes difficult. And this is for English learners. Simple words are your strength. Do not feel bad because your English is simple. Simple English can be extremely powerful. A clear sentence is better than a complicated sentence with mistakes. A short answer that makes sense is much better than a long answer that confuses people. Think about this sentence. I believe daily practice is important because it builds confidence. This is simple, but it is good. Now compare it with a very long sentence. In my personal opinion, I would like to mention that continuous and consistent engagement with linguistic activities may possibly result in a gradual improvement of communicative confidence. This sounds heavy. It may be correct, but it is not friendly. It is not easy to follow. In speaking, simple is often better. Another way to make your answer clear is to remove unnecessary words. Many people use filler words when they are nervous. They say, like, basically, actually, and they say these again and again. Some filler words are normal. Everyone uses them. But too many filler words can make your answer less strong. The solution is not to panic about filler words. The solution is to pause. Instead of saying, like, breathe, okay? Instead of filling every second, allow a short silence. A short silence, my friends, is fine. Don't worry. It can make you sound calmer. You can also use signposting. What does that mean? Signposting means using words that show the listener where you are going. For example, my main point is, the reason is, for example, so in short. These phrases make your answer easier to follow. Now, let's try a clear answer with signposting. The question is, why do people get nervous when speaking? The answer is, my main point is that people feel pressure. The reason is that they want to sound good, but they are afraid of mistakes. For example, in an interview, someone may know the answer, but stress makes it hard to speak clearly. So, in short, nervousness is normal, but we can learn to manage it. This answer is longer, but still clear. It has signs. The listener can follow it. Another useful idea is to think in small pieces. Do not try to build one long, perfect sentence. Speak in short sentences. One idea at a time. For example, I think listening is important. It gives you real examples of English. It also helps pronunciation. When you listen every day, English starts to feel more natural. You see, these short sentences are easy to say. They are easy to understand. They are good for podcasts, conversations, presentations, and teaching. Many learners think fluency means speaking fast, but fluency does not only mean speed. Fluency also means flow. A person can speak slowly and still be fluent. If the ideas connect, if the listener understands, if the speaker continues without panic, that is perfect fluency. So do not rush. Speak at a comfortable speed. Use short sentences. Use clear structure. Repeat the main idea if needed. Repetition is not bad when it is useful. In English Unleashed, I repeat ideas because repetition helps learning. In speaking, you can repeat your main message in a simple way. This helps the listener remember. But be careful not to repeat because you are lost. Repeat with purpose. Repeat to make the message clearer. Now, another practical tool is the one-sentence answer. Before you give a long answer, try to say your answer in one sentence. This helps you find the main idea. Think about this question. What makes a good teacher? What makes a good teacher? A one-sentence answer could be, a good teacher makes difficult things easier to understand. Now you can add, they explain clearly, give useful examples, and help students feel safe. Beautiful, simple, and strong. Here is another question. Why is confidence? A one-sentence answer could be, confidence helps you speak even when your English is not perfect. Then you can add, when you feel more confident, you try more. And when you try more, you improve faster. Again, beautiful, clear, and useful. So in this part, the author's lesson is this. Say less, but say it better. Find your main message. Use simple words. Use short sentences. Pause instead of panicking. Help the listener follow your idea. Good speaking is not a flood of words. Good speaking is a clear path. Okay, sometimes speaking is easy because the question is simple. Someone asks, "How was your day?" You can answer. Someone asks, "Do you want tea or coffee?" You can answer as well. But sometimes questions are more difficult. Maybe someone asks a question you did not expect. Maybe they ask something personal. Maybe they ask something critical. Maybe they disagree with you. Maybe they ask a question and you do not know the answer. These moments can feel uncomfortable, but they are also normal. Good speakers are not people who know every answer. Good speakers are people who know how to respond calmly. The first rule is do not pretend. If you do not know the answer, it is okay to say so. Many people are afraid to say, "I don't know." They think it makes them look weak. But pretending can be worse. If you invent an answer and it is wrong, people may lose trust. A calm, honest answer can sound strong. You can say, "I don't know the exact answer, but I can share what I do know. I'm not completely sure, but my understanding is," "Well, that's a good question. I need to check the details." Or, "I don't want to give you the wrong answer, so let me be careful." These phrases are useful because they are honest and professional. You're not running away. You are showing care. For English learners, this is very important. You do not need to answer every question perfectly. You can be honest. You can ask for time. You can say what you know and what you do not know. Another useful method is to bridge. Bridging means moving from one difficult question to a related point you can answer. You do not ignore the question. You connect it to something useful. For example, someone asks, "Why did your project fail?" This is a hard question. You can answer, "That's an important question. I think the main issue was communication. What we learned is that we need clearer roles and regular updates." You answered honestly, but you also moved toward learning and solution. Another example is, "Why is your English not fluent yet?" This may feel uncomfortable. You can answer like this: "Well, I'm still learning. I'm still improving. My main focus now is speaking more regularly because fluency grows through practice." This answer is calm. It does not sound defensive. It shows progress. A difficult question can also be too broad. For example, someone asks, "What do you think about education?" This is huge. You cannot answer everything. So you need to narrow the question. You can say, "That's a big topic. I'll focus on one part." Or, "There are too many answers, but one important point is," or, "I can answer from my own experience." This helps you create a smaller answer. For example, "What do you think about education?" One possible answer would be, "That's a big topic, but I'll focus on language learning. I think education works best when students understand why they are learning and use the language in real situations." Now the answer has a direction. Another difficult situation is disagreement. Someone says, "I don't agree with you," or they ask a challenging question. In this moment, many people become defensive. Defensive means you feel attacked and you try to protect yourself quickly. But defensive speaking can create conflict. A better way is to stay calm and show respect. You can say, "I see your point. That's a fair question. I understand why you might think that. You may be right about part of that." These phrases do not mean you fully agree. They mean you are listening. After that, you can share your view. For example, "I see your point. At the same time, I think daily listening is still important because it gives learners natural examples." This is respectful and clear. In English, softening language is very useful. Softening means making your words less aggressive. Instead of saying you're wrong, you can say, "I see it a little differently." Instead of saying, "That's a bad idea," you can say, "I'm not sure that would work in this situation." Instead of saying, "No," you can say, "I don't think that's the best option right now." This does not mean you are weak. It means you are socially intelligent. You protect the relationship while sharing your idea. Another tool for difficult questions is to use examples. When an idea is complicated, an example makes it easier. If someone asks, "What do you mean by learning vocabulary in context?" you can explain, but an example helps more. You can say, "It means learning words inside sentences." For example, instead of learning only the word confident, learn the sentence, "I feel more confident when I practice every day." Now the sentence is clear. Stories can also help. A short story makes your answer human. For example, "When I first started speaking English, I was nervous. I knew many words, but I could not use them quickly. Then I started practicing short answers every day. Slowly, speaking became easier." This short story explains the idea and creates connection. All right, at the end of this episode, let's bring the ideas together. Think fast, talk smarter teaches us that speaking in the moment is a skill. It is not only talent. It is not only confidence. It is not only personality. It is something we can practice. This is very good news for English learners. If you often freeze when someone asks you a question, you are not alone. If you understand English but cannot answer quickly, you are not alone. This happens to many learners. It also happens to native speakers in stressful situations. The answer is not to blame yourself. The answer is to train. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of English Unleashed. I hope this episode helped you understand how to think faster and talk smarter in English. Listen again if you can. The first time, you understand the main idea, and the second time, you notice the phrases. The third time, you can shadow and speak with me. So, keep listening, keep speaking, and keep practicing. Remember, you do not need perfect English to speak. You need courage, practice, and a clear path. Bye for now.